So this is the 10-week update. I haven't been out here that much. I just got here. I haven't been out here for probably a week. But we're gonna go do a walkthrough. Hopefully everything looks good. I'll show you all the progress. So here's the top of the garden here. Looks like the carrots are all a lot taller than they were last time. The tomatoes are looking really good. Some color now. It's kind of cool to see all these full of tomatoes. That's one of the cool things about pruning the tomatoes is all the fruit looks pretty. I did come out here a couple weeks ago after I did the last video, a day or two after that, and pruned all the tomatoes so that all the fruit is showing. I guess they say to prune everything, all the leaves that are below the first fruit, and then just leave all the top stuff. And I've been pulling all the suckers, but it's cool to see all the tomatoes on there. Looks like we got some ripe ones, some yellow pear, and then these ones I think are large cherry, and then I think all this stuff is the beefsteak because they're all huge. But looks like we got a lot of tomatoes on there. That is a huge tomato. I've got one that looks ripe. Cool. I'll pick that later then. So here's all the tomatoes. It looks like they're growing good. They're a lot taller. I still need to go and prune. Looks like there's suckers up at the top, so I need to go pull the suckers and go and hook it onto the cattle panel again. But they're getting taller. It's looking good. My corn's looking bad, but I didn't amend the soil or anything. I just planted the corn. They're just not very tall, but I guess they're getting full sun, so maybe they don't need to grow tall because they have the sun right there. But the first 3 rows I planted 2 weeks early, and then the next 4 I planted 2 weeks later. Then the sunflowers on the outside, but I think I planted all that too late because it was probably a month after I planted everything else. The carrots, we have harvested some carrots, and they're actually pretty decent. They're like 4 to 6 inches long. Probably a week and a half ago we harvested those. But these tomatoes are all looking good. Lots of big tomatoes, and it's cool to see all the fruit as you walk through the tunnel. There's one that's ripe, it looks like. Finally getting some ripe tomatoes. I did harvest a few, but the smaller ones, some cherry tomatoes and yellow pear and stuff, but yeah. Let's take a look at the carrots and see if we can pull one out that's by other ones. This will be part of the thinning process. So there's one that's a purple carrot. I'll bring that home and give it to Baylor or Grayson or Lennon. Looks like that one's one I forgot to prune. Just going wild over here. Oh, I probably should have left it. It has a bunch of tomatoes, but it wasn't looking pretty in the arch there. I haven't even weeded since the last time, so this one might be really weedy with stickers and stuff, but this other one looks good, I bet. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see all those cherry tomatoes just dangling. I need to go through and prune. But the no-till is doing awesome. Peppers, I've harvested a few peppers that looked about like this, so they weren't huge, but I got them in the ground and they were kind of small. So here's all the peppers. Jalapenos down here. That one's a fat one. I've harvested a few jalapenos as well, but yeah. And then green beans, they were looking really bad, but I got like I don't know, half-gallon from out here, mainly from these bushes, and then just a couple of these ones. But from these big bushes, we've got some green beans. Haven't been out here for a little while though, so. I get more green beans from my home garden. There's some beans on there. I wonder if something happened on the no-till, because it doesn't seem like the green beans really like it. I wonder if I don't know, nitrogen or something. But I don't know if they're heavy feeders on nitrogen. I think they put it back into the soil, but I need to do a little more work here on the cucumbers, trellising them. But it looks like I've harvested quite a few of those. The lettuce I planted, but I should have got it in the ground in April, because it's kind of bitter with the heat and going to seed. So you can see these guys going to seed there. Armenian cucumbers, looks like I got a bunch. That one's too big. That one's huge. But that one's like 18 inches long. And then there's another one. There's one. Holy cow, there's a bunch. There's a real fat one in there. Those are starting to produce like crazy. I've got a farmer's market Saturday that I'm doing, so don't want to pick it unless it's too big, but it looks like a lot of these are too big. So I'll probably just pick them and give them to family and stuff. This side's not looking as good. This side I trellised and it seems like it's doing better. But I need to go through and trellis everything again. But there's a lot of other cucumbers. Down here's the lemons. There's a lemon. There's another one. Seems like the cucumbers here aren't doing as well as at my house, but I wonder if that's because the compost, I got it from the city, and I don't know if it was completely, if it sat long enough to break down all the way, if it was still breaking down. But parsley, dill went to seed. All this kind of went to seed, which isn't a bad thing. And then the cilantro. There's probably more money in selling seed than there is in selling cilantro anyways. So I'll just go through and harvest the seed and package it up. I have gotten a ton of watermelon and cantaloupe everywhere. I did harvest an 11-pound watermelon and ate it, I think it was a week ago or when I was here last. But there's some good sized watermelons out here. Cantaloupe. And weeds. Trying to see if I can find any that are right, but that one's looking like it's closer. And this one maybe. We've got a bunch of watermelons. I probably need to water again down here. It seems like it doesn't have compost like right here, so the water just goes right through the soil. Looks like I got some corn. Oh, and there's honeydew over here. There's one right there. And I did harvest a honeydew the other day as well, which wasn't quite ripe. But these guys are pretty big. It's like a volleyball size. Lots of honeydew and cantaloupe. And then I did the Three Sisters companion planting. So pumpkins, well, I did pumpkins on one row and squash on the other. And then corn, sweet corn, and pole beans. I want to see if I can find any beans in there. Looks like there's a bean plant, but I haven't seen too much bees. Look like I have squash bugs on there. And I haven't done anything. I've sprayed nothing on anything. So I've only composted since I've done this. So Some of the plants look like they're dying a little bit. That could be from watering or from bugs, but I haven't sprayed anything. I kind of want to do as organic as possible. There's a big pumpkin. Did some pumpkin seeds. I started these ones from seed. Looks like I've got corn on there forming. My corn that's over here is doing a lot better. Maybe it's because of the beans that are fixing the nitrogen for the corn, but I'm not sure. Got some squash, but it looks like these ones they started dying back from the water. That one I think is dead. We've got some beans. Look like this bean is climbing and starting to form. These are pole beans. Probably need to go add some water down here. It did rain 2 days ago. We got a bunch of rain. But it seems like everything down here needs a little more water because there's no compost to keep it dry. Lots of cherry tomatoes though. It's not as pretty as up at the top where the no-till is. A little more work, but yeah. Got some more pumpkin plants. Maybe I'll go turn the water on for a minute and let it get a little more water down at this side. Seems a little bit drier. Oh, these are the peach tomatoes. So it's to be a garden peach. This is Perry, but Brigham City and Perry are known for their peaches, so I figured a peach tomato would be popular for the area. But there's the garden. I honestly haven't done a lot of work. The initial stuff was the main thing that I've done. The setup was the main thing I've done. I've spent maybe, I don't know, 3 half-hour weedings on the lower half just to keep the plants above the weeds. But I haven't really done much since I planted it besides trellising cucumbers and tomatoes and pulling a few weeds. But once it was planted, I haven't really done a lot, which is nice. It's nice to just let it happen. But there's some issues I need to address. Like I think there's squash bugs killing the squash. And I think it isn't getting enough water down here at this side, so I'm gonna go turn the water on and up the watering every day. That's 10 weeks. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll try to answer them.